All right, so we're diving into applied technology projects today.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, this set of slides really digs into how we can give students, the skills to tackle real-world tech challenges.
It's definitely a shift from, just theoretical knowledge.
For sure. I'm all about seeing theory put into practice, so
Yeah.
this is right up my alley.
Absolutely. And these projects go way beyond textbook scenarios.
Yes.
We're talking about practical skills that can be used in real tech settings.
Exactly. So, like, by the end of this deep dive,
Yeah.
you should have a much better understanding of how to, first of all, even break down a tech problem.
Right.
And then, okay, how to design potential solutions.
Yeah.
And even get into, like, the steps to build and test a prototype.
And let's not forget about the presentation aspect, right?
Oh, for sure.
You can have the most brilliant solution.
Right.
But if you can't communicate it effectively.
It's useless.
Exactly.
Okay, so the first slide jumps right into defining what these applied technology projects are.
Yeah.
What's the core idea here?
Well, they're all about simulating real-world tech problems.
Okay.
The main focus is on applying design thinking to solve challenges and come up with practical solutions.
Design thinking, I feel like that's a term that gets thrown around a lot.
It is.
So what does it actually mean in this context?
It's more than just a buzzword. It's a structured process for problem solving,
Right.
but it prioritizes a human-centered approach.
So it's not just about building a cool gadget or something.
No.
It's about ensuring it solves a real problem for real people.
Exactly. Think about early personal computers.
That-
You were impressive feats of engineering, no doubt,
Yeah.
but they didn't really take off until software developers started creating applications.
Right.
Applications that solved everyday problems for average users.
That's a good point.
That's where design thinking comes in.
Yeah.
Bridging that gap between cool technology and real human needs.
It's like, it makes me think about how smartphones were initially marketed as like business tools. But it wasn't until we got things like social media apps and games and stuff
Exactly.
that they really became, as popular as they are.
And that's what these projects aim to develop. Understanding user needs
Yeah.
and creating solutions that meet those needs.
All right, so the next slide gets into the learning objectives
Yeah.
for students who are, taking on these projects.
Yes.
What are the key areas they're meant to, master?
So there are 5 core objectives, and the first one is identifying and researching technology-based problems.
Okay, so that's like the first hurdle, right?
It is.
Knowing where to even begin.
Exactly. You need to know what puzzle you're trying to solve
Yeah.
before you can start putting the pieces together.
Exactly.
Then comes designing potential solutions to that problem.
So you go from identifying the problem to actually like brainstorming fixes.
Precisely. And that leads right into the third objective,
Okay.
which is building and testing a prototype.
This is where things get really hands-on, I imagine.
Absolutely. This is where students start to see their ideas come to life.
Yeah.
And then they need to learn how to present their findings and their solution.
Okay, so it's not enough to have a good idea.
Right.
You also have to be able to sell it to explain why it's valuable.
Exactly. That's crucial in any field.
For sure.
It's like, think about Steve Jobs unveiling the first iPhone.
Okay.
You want that level of engagement,
Right.
making the audience understand the problem,
Yes.
see the brilliance of your solution, and
Yeah.
get excited about the possibilities.
Okay, so we've got the problem, we've got the solution, and then we've got the pitch.
Exactly.
I like it.
And that brings us to the next slide, which outlines the key instructional areas.
Oh, perfect.
These are the areas covered in these projects.
Okay.
We're talking about the design thinking process, problem identification and analysis, research and ideation, prototyping and testing, project management,
Wow.
and then finally, communication and presentation skills.
It's a pretty thorough list.
It is.
It seems like it touches on a wide range of skills.
Absolutely. And it's important to note that all these skills are interconnected.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah, they build on each other.
Right. If you're great at communication,
Yeah.
but terrible at project management.
Where projects will suffer.
Exactly.
So, mastering one skill actually strengthens your ability in another.
It's like a chain reaction
Precisely.
where each skill kind of builds upon the others.
Yes.
Yes.
Leading to a more well-rounded skill set.
Okay. So let's get into that design thinking process a bit more.
Sure.
The slide mentions understanding the design thinking process as the first step.
Right.
It's almost like thinking about thinking,
Yeah, it's important to grasp the framework before you get into the specifics.
Yeah.
Once you understand the flow,
Right.
you can apply it to any problem.
Okay, that makes sense.
So after understanding the overall process,
Yeah.
we move on to clearly defining the problem you're trying to solve
Got it.
and setting boundaries for the project.
Yeah.
This is crucial because without a well-defined problem,
You're going to get sidetracked.
exactly, you might end up with a solution that doesn't even address the root cause.
It's like trying to fix a leaky faucet
Yeah,
without figuring out where the leak's coming from.
exactly.
I might end up fixing the wrong thing.
Exactly. And once you've defined that problem, it's time for brainstorming.
Oh, okay.
This is where you generate as many potential solutions as possible.
So quantity over quality at this point.
For sure. No idea is too crazy.
Yeah.
You really want to explore all avenues, even if some ideas seem a bit far-fetched initially.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most unexpected solutions are the most effective.
You never know where that inspiration might come from.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of brainstorming.
Yeah.
Sometimes those crazy ideas lead to breakthroughs.
Okay. I like that.
So then comes the evaluation phase.
Right.
This is where you start analyzing those ideas,
Right.
considering things like feasibility and impact.
So balancing creativity with practicality.
Exactly. You're asking, can this even be built?
Yeah.
Do we have the resources?
Right.
Will it actually solve the problem?
It's about bringing those wild ideas back down to earth.
Yes. And based on your evaluation, you choose the best solution and justify your choice.
Okay, so we've gone from this jumbled mess of ideas to a clear solution.
That's the goal.
Can you give me like a real-world example of this process in action?
Think about the evolution of the TV remote.
Oh, okay.
Those early remotes,
Yeah.
they were clunky single-purpose devices.
For sure.
And then someone thought, what if we could control everything with one remote?
Yeah.
And that simple idea led to the universal remotes we have today.
Wow, it really shows how a shift in perspective can lead to big advancements.
Absolutely.
Now, let's focus on the problem identification stage for a bit.
Okay.
It seems like that's the foundation for this whole process.
It is, and this slide outlines the steps involved in properly identifying and analyzing a problem.
Right.
So first you articulate what the problem actually is. What are the symptoms? Who is affected?
Right, so no jumping to conclusions.
Exactly.
We need a clear understanding of the problem first.
Absolutely. Then you analyze its scope and impact.
Okay.
How widespread is this problem? What
Yep.
happens if it's not addressed?
Right, is this a small inconvenience or a potential disaster?
Exactly. And you also have to research existing solutions.
Okay.
Have others tried to tackle this before?
Makes sense.
What worked? What didn't work?
So you're learning from past attempts.
Precisely. You're building on existing knowledge
Yeah.
and looking for ways to improve.
And of course, we need data.
Absolutely. Data is crucial.
The slide emphasizes gathering relevant data to support your analysis.
It's not enough to say, I think this is a problem.
Right.
You need evidence. You need data.
Yeah, it's like the difference between saying, I feel sick,
Yes,
and having a doctor diagnose you.
precisely. Data provides that confirmation.
Okay.
And finally, you define your project requirements and constraints.
So, like, what are your goals?
Yes, what resources do you have?
Yeah.
What are your limitations?
It's about setting realistic expectations.
Yeah. Exactly. You
I-
don't want to get bogged down
Yeah.
in things you can't handle.
Wow. We've covered a lot here, but I feel like there's so much more to dig into.
There is. We've laid the groundwork. But next time, we'll dive deeper into research, prototyping, and the all-important project management and communication aspects.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Welcome back. Let's pick up where we left off with these applied technology projects.
Sounds good.
We've got the foundation down.
Yeah.
Now it's time to actually put those pieces into action.
For sure. We talked about, design thinking and all that, and making sure we identify the problem correctly.
Exactly.
But now I'm really interested in that next phase.
Yeah.
Research and prototyping.
That's where things get exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's like you're taking those ideas
Yeah.
and actually turning them into something real.
Exactly. Tangible solutions.
All right, so this slide really focuses on research.
Mm.
Why is that so important in this whole process?
Well, think of it like this.
Okay.
Is building that solid foundation for your project.
Okay.
You need to gather information from credible sources,
Right.
analyze existing data,
Yeah.
really understand the whole landscape before you even start building anything.
So it's not just about, having a cool idea.
No.
It's about making sure it can actually work.
Yeah,
That it's grounded in reality.
precisely. Remember the Segway.
Oh, yeah.
Revolutionary product, right?
For sure.
But it flopped.
Yeah.
It didn't solve a real problem for enough people.
That's a good point.
Thorough research can prevent that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that innovation isn't just about novelty.
No, not at all.
It has to solve a real problem, meet a real need.
Exactly.
And research isn't just about avoiding failure either.
Right.
It's also about uncovering new opportunities.
Absolutely. You might find existing solutions that you can adapt
Yeah.
or improve upon, or maybe even discover new technologies
Right.
that could help you reach your goals more effectively.
So you're saying keep an open mind,
Yeah.
look for inspiration in unexpected places.
Absolutely.
All right, so once we've done all that research,
Yeah.
then what? What's the next step?
That's when we really start exploring those potential solutions.
Okay,
This is the brainstorming stage.
this is where we get to be creative.
Exactly. Think outside the box, challenge the status quo,
Yeah.
explore those unconventional approaches.
I love it.
Sometimes the most unexpected solutions are the most effective.
It reminds me of the Post-it note.
Oh, yeah. Classic example.
It was a failed adhesive,
Right?
but they turned it into one of the most popular office supplies ever.
Exactly. A perfect example of how a mistake
Yeah.
can be transformed into something amazing.
Okay, so we've got our brainstorming done.
Yes.
We've got some solutions.
Right.
What happens next?
Then it's time for prototyping.
Okay.
Taking those ideas
Right.
and making them real. Exactly. A prototype can be anything from a rough sketch
Oh, wow.
to a 3D printed model.
Okay.
It depends on the project, what you're trying to test.
So if you're designing like a website,
Yeah.
maybe a simple wireframe is enough.
Exactly. But if you're building a robot,
Right.
you'll need something a bit more substantial. The important thing is choosing the right method for your specific needs.
Got it.
And remember, prototyping is all about iteration.
Yeah, okay.
You build it, you test it,
Right.
you get feedback, and you refine your design.
So it's not about getting it perfect on the first try.
Not at all. It's about embracing those imperfections
Right.
and using them to make your design even better.
Think about those early video game consoles,
Oh, yeah.
like the Atari and the original Nintendo.
So simple compared to today.
Yeah.
But they evolved, they improved,
Oh,
and
yeah.
led to the games we have today.
It's amazing to see how far we've come.
It is. And it all started with those early prototypes.
Exactly.
It shows the importance of accepting failure as part of the process.
Speaking of process, this next slide is all about project management.
Right.
It might not sound as exciting as, brainstorming or building stuff,
Yeah.
but I imagine it's pretty crucial.
It's essential. It keeps things running smoothly.
Yeah, prevents things from becoming chaotic.
Exactly. It's all about planning, organizing, and executing tasks effectively.
So what are some of the key elements students are learning here?
Well, first, there's planning and organizing tasks,
Okay.
breaking down a big project into smaller, more manageable chunks.
So creating a roadmap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then there's setting realistic goals and timelines.
Right. We need to be ambitious, but also practical.
Absolutely. Unrealistic deadlines just lead to stress and burnout.
For sure.
Then we have resource allocation.
Okay.
Making sure you have the materials, the tools, the expertise you need.
It's like making sure you have all the ingredients before you start baking.
Exactly. You don't want to realize you're missing something crucial halfway through.
And then there's monitoring progress and being flexible.
Yes, adapting to challenges and changes.
Because things rarely go exactly according to plan, right?
Exactly. Being able to adjust on the fly is key.
And finally, making sure everything is delivered on time.
Yes, ensuring timely completion of all the deliverables.
These project management skills,
Yeah,
they seem really valuable.
they are.
And not just for technology projects, for anything, really.
Absolutely, these are transferable skills that can benefit anyone.
Okay, let's move on to that final piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
Communication.
Right.
This slide
Mhm.
really emphasizes how important it is to communicate those findings effectively.
It is, and it's often overlooked.
Yeah.
But communication is just as crucial as the technical skills.
Because what good is a brilliant solution if you
Right.
can't explain it to anyone?
It's like that saying, if a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it,
Does it make a sound?
exactly. A great idea that you can't communicate is useless.
So these projects really focus on being able to articulate those ideas clearly.
Yes, using both verbal and visual communication.
So things like presentations, reports, diagrams,
Absolutely.
maybe even videos or interactive demonstrations.
The goal is to choose the best method for your audience in your project.
And of course, being able to answer questions confidently.
Yes, you need to be able to defend your solution.
It's not just about delivering a presentation, it's about engaging in that dialogue.
Exactly. You need to address concerns, convince people of the value of your solution.
Become an advocate for your ideas.
Precisely.
This has been a really insightful look at these applied technology projects.
It has.
We've covered so much ground here. Research, prototyping, project management, communication.
All essential pieces.
But I think there's an even bigger picture we haven't fully explored yet.
There is. We've laid the foundation, but next time we'll tie it all together and see how these projects are about more than just tech careers.
Okay.
They're about preparing students for success in a world that's constantly changing.
Okay, so we're back for the final part of this deep dive into applied technology projects.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
We've covered a lot, from design thinking to prototyping and everything in between.
We have.
But I feel like there's still a bigger picture we haven't fully explored.
I agree. If we take a step back and look at everything we've talked about,
Yeah.
it points to something bigger than just learning technical skills.
Right, it's like we're developing a specific mindset,
Exactly.
a way of approaching problems that goes beyond any particular technology.
These projects are all about cultivating critical thinking, problem solving, adaptability,
Yeah.
a strong sense of innovation.
Those are valuable skills in any field, not just tech.
Absolutely.
So yeah, these projects are definitely giving students technical know-how,
Right.
but they're also preparing them for a world that's changing so quickly.
A world where adaptability and innovation are essential.
Exactly. Think about all the jobs that didn't even exist a few years ago.
I know, right.
Social media managers, data analysts, UX designers.
The landscape is constantly shifting.
And these projects are giving students the tools to navigate that uncertainty.
To thrive in whatever they choose to do.
It's not just about preparing for a specific career.
No.
It's about being ready for a future where the ability to learn and adapt is crucial.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the question, how can our listener apply these insights?
Oh, that's a good question.
We've been talking about these projects in an educational context,
Right.
but how can these principles be translated to other areas?
Yeah, like how can someone listening to this actually use this information?
Well, first of all, embrace the power of design thinking.
Okay.
It's not just for tech. It's a framework for any problem.
So whether you're trying to be more efficient at work
Right.
or organize your home,
Yeah.
even plan a trip.
Design thinking can help.
Okay, so how do we actually do that?
Start by empathizing with the people involved.
Okay.
What are their needs, their perspectives?
Yeah.
Then define the problem clearly. What are you actually trying to achieve?
Right.
Once you understand that, you can start brainstorming solutions. And don't be afraid to think outside the box here.
Yeah, consider those unconventional approaches.
Absolutely. And then you move into prototyping,
Okay.
even if it's just a metaphorical prototype.
So like what, sketching out a workflow?
Exactly. Or creating a mock-up,
Mm.
listing out the steps of a new process.
You're basically getting those ideas out of your head.
Yes. Make them tangible so you can test them, refine them.
And then, of course, we have the testing and iterating phase.
Right.
Putting those ideas into action, getting feedback, making changes as you go.
Don't be afraid of failure here.
Right. It's part of the process.
Experiment, try things out, learn from your mistakes.
It's all about that growth mindset.
Absolutely. And another important takeaway is to focus on those core skills.
Okay.
Problem solving, project management, communication.
Right. We talked about those.
Those skills are like muscles.
Oh, I like that analogy.
The more you use them, the stronger they get.
So yeah, challenge yourself, take on new projects, step outside your comfort zone.
Exactly. And don't forget about communication. Being able to articulate your ideas, persuade others, tell a good story.
Those are all so important.
Invaluable skills no matter what you do.
Wow. This deep dive has been really insightful.
I agree.
It feels like we went beyond the specifics of these projects.
Yeah?
We discovered this whole philosophy of learning and problem solving.
Right. It can be applied to so many different areas of life.
These projects are about more than just technology.
They are.
They're about empowering people
Yeah.
to become creative thinkers, adaptable problem solvers,
Yes.
effective communicators.
Qualities that will help them succeed in whatever path they choose.
Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive.
It does.
I want to thank you for joining us, and until next time.
Thanks for having me.